used to take me shopping everywhere. Now he thinks shopping is reading The Marketeer. I need a new TV.
The Marketeer's got sales from the best electronics store.
And we need a new car.
The Marketeer's super automotive section.
And we have to go to the supermarket.
The Marketeer's got weekly sales circulars from the best supermarkets, department stores, and home improvement centers. Who could shop without it?
Maybe I should start shopping for a new husband.
Marketeer Personals?
The Marketeer, where over 1 million New Yorkers go shopping every week.
Bachelors who are ready to say I do on the next hard copy.
It's become the rage for lots of people to badmouth New York City. And sure, the old lady has her problems, just like every other city in the country. Hello, I'm J.J. Gonzalez, and on this segment of Channel to the People, we'd like to take a different look at New York City and have you meet some people who've helped make this the Big Apple. We have our share of crime here, but not as much as other cities. Traffic, well, that we have more of than any place else. But would you really want to change that? After all, that's commerce and money riding on those wheels. Dirty? You bet it's dirty. And it's going to stay that way until someone can figure out how to cram 12 million people into a small city that goes 24 hours a day and keep it clean. Sure, there's poverty and homelessness here, as well as all the plagues of the modern world, perhaps even magnified by New York City's grandeur. But the fact of the matter is, people make New York City great. We come here from all over the world, living somewhat provincially, in neighborhoods that so clearly define themselves that you can walk across the street and literally find yourself in another town. And it's in those towns we call neighborhoods that the diversity of New York flourishes. What other city in the world could boast of having mud dancers beating out rhythms in empty lots on the Lower East Side, along with street processions celebrating a neighborhood? And the Philharmonic tuning up, all in one city on the same day. Sure, there's a lot that's wrong with New York City, but there's also a lot that's right. And what's right comes from the people who live and work here, like 92-year-old Freddie Moore, who arrived in New York more than 64 years ago and helped develop a truly American art form he's still practicing today. You don't know who Freddie Moore is? Well, stay tuned to Channel to the People, and you will.
Used to be at the first sign of flu, I'd give the family my chicken soup. But now, the first thing I give them is acylococcinum. Harder to pronounce, but just like chicken soup, it's made with natural ingredients. And folks are finding out just how effective it is against chills, aches, and fever. Acylococcinum, strong enough for adults, but safe enough for kids, with no side effects. It's the first thing I give everyone at the first sign of flu, although the second thing is still my chicken soup.
This is your all-night nostalgia host, Danny Stiles, here on WEVD AM 1050. And tonight, Freddie Moore, the legendary jazz drummer, retires after 75 years in show business. And Freddie will be celebrating at Dennis Carey's Red Blazer 2 in the heart of New York's Theater District. And now I'd like to play the original LP with Freddie Moore doing his great version of the St. James Infirmary.
Between ragtime and rock and roll, black musicians in small clubs in hamlets and cities developed the sound called jazz. Some, like Louis Armstrong and Billie Holiday, became international stars. Others continued the tradition.
Said I went down to St. James Infirmary just to see was my baby there.
One of the most respected is jazz drummer Freddie Moore, who began in show business at 12 and hasn't stopped since. It was just 2 months before his 92nd birthday that Freddie Moore played his last gig with the Saturday Night Stompers to end his career on the upbeat.
He's a great entertainer, and he's like the last of a great, great breed of old-timers.
Freddie was one of these people that was the heart of the band.
He's just a representative of a sound, a blues and jazz sound that really is our great American musical heritage.
The Stompers have been playing at Red Blazer 2, the West Side Jazz Club, for the last 15 years. Freddie Moore is the only band member who never missed a day.
How sweet it is! Yeah.
The Red Blazer 2 was the last stop in a career that began more than 75 years ago on the day he ran away from his home in Little Washington, North Carolina, to join a minstrel show. His first job was taking care of the band's heavy marching coats.
I used to hang the coats up. The coat be all sweaty. I hang them up for them to dry. That's what they call the walking gent.
A year later, the walking gent had become the band's drummer. The Roaring Twenties found Freddie touring with the immortal King Oliver. Wages, $40 a week, pay your own hotel room, which was all right with Freddie.
The money didn't mean that much to me when we were speaking, because I was trying to get all the experience I could, you know.
Plus, there were other amenities to go along with touring with a band.
Sweetheart in every town. I was young then. Good looking, I hope. Silk shirts.
One girlfriend Freddie could do without was jazz singer Ma Rainey.
She was the oldest blues singer during that time. She was the ugliest singer I ever saw. You ugly. She used to wear a diamond in her teeth and $10 gold piece on her ears. She used to carry her boyfriend around with her all the time. He was 17 years old. Changed suits 3 or 4 times a day. Silk shirts.
Through the years, Freddie played it all, rag, Dixie, pop. That's Freddie on washboard for the Globetrotters' Sweet Georgia Brown. Many professionals picked up on Freddie Moore's style. In the 70s, Freddie toured with Kathy Chamberlain in the Rock and Rag Review.
He taught me everything I know. With that wonderfully soulful, gravelly voice he has, he will give you one of the best renditions of one of the standards that you've ever heard. And he makes it new for you. He makes it real. When he sings it, you know that's the way it was meant to be sung.
Bob Cantwell, who put the Stompers band together back in 1977, knew just who he wanted on drums.
And in thinking about who I would want, musicians I knew and respected, the first name that came into my mind was Freddie Moore.
Sam Ulano took over the drums with the Stompers.
Freddie was a very educated drummer, by the way. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that. He was, other than just his musical ability, he knew what he was doing. He never missed a beat. He never fell apart in all the years.
And not only did they listen, they learned.
Fred Moore taught me that if you are honest with an audience, that they will respect that, they will know that instinctively, and that they will respond to you in an honest way. Fred is a consummate entertainer.
Then there's Freddy the Family Man. Once a week, Freddy's niece Marjorie Washington picks him up and drives him to see his beloved Lucille. His wife of more than 50 years is now in a nursing home.
Come on. Yep. This is 6.
I asked her, how about getting married? She looked at me and smiled and says, all right with me.
How long have you been married?
50 years.
Oh, it's 50 already. She knows. Yeah. It's 50. See, you didn't know. You remember the date?
Yes, the 22nd of June,
Mm-hmm.
1944.
Oh, it's 40.
Even before Freddie married Lucille, rules were laid down by a relative.
He told him, so you be good to her. He told my uncle. He said, because she is a very nice woman, and I wouldn't want anybody to mistreat her. And so, in all the years, he has never mistreated my aunt, and she'll tell you that. They might have some fuss. Everybody fusses.
But were they a loving couple?
Yeah, they were pretty good. They got along. They have had a very happy time because they understand each other. You've got to understand a person after you've been with them almost 50 years. Upstairs there, he started singing. And what's that song he was singing? I guess he was singing that to Aunt Lucille, when your hair's turned to silver, I love you just the same.
Came to my old rocking chair. Yeah.
We got some entertainment today.
So long now, miss.
Okay.
We getting ready to go.
Take it easy. Hurry, get well. Stay well. Okay, I pray for you all the time.
I think he'll miss performing, that's for sure. Oh, yeah. Because he said that, you know, he wasn't making nothing much down there, but he said it's just something to do. He said, Marty, I just have to have something on that line to do, you know?
Before I got here, people down south said money growing trees. And when I come here in 1928, first thing I was looking for the money growing trees. I ain't seen $1.
Freddie may not have made a lot of money as a performer, but he's plenty rich in the ways that count.
He'll always be with us. He's the kind of guy that you fall in love with, really.
Fred will still be a friend of mine. As long as he's around, he'll be a friend of mine, and I'll be seeing him even if he isn't under the bright lights.
Beautiful, gentle man. I love him.
We've never thought of him as an old man. He's ageless to us.
Ollie, could we cook some fish tonight? How could we cook fish when we haven't caught any? Maybe we could buy some. If we could afford that, we wouldn't be out here fishing. Sit down.
Sizzler's cooking up steak and all-you-can-eat shrimp with scallops now for just $7.99. So you can have our most famous platter with scallops, too. So come into Sizzler for steak and all-you-can-eat shrimp and scallops. And remember, kids eat for 99 cents.
This is fun, Ollie. Can we go fishing again tomorrow?
Now that you've met Freddie Moore, a man who helped change the music New Yorkers listen to, we'd like you to meet some folks who've gotten together to change what New York looks like. It happens all the time that people get together to make their neighborhoods more like the places they came from, like the Lower East Siders who got together to change the look of their house of worship. And then there are New Yorkers in the thousands who, tired of the brick and mortar look of the place, decided to green it by creating gardens where there was once debris and decay.
In the past, the view from an inner city window would have been a garbage-filled lot. But today, one can look over a beautiful garden because some neighbors decided to grow something good out of the troubled soil. Good and wonderful things to celebrate at harvest time once a year. The prized tomatoes, squashes, eggplants, and flowers shown annually at the Operation Green Thumb Harvest Fair at Floyd Bennett Field required more than just the skill of the growers. Like pioneers, they cleared their land, started from scratch, creating gardens out of the abandoned rubble-strewn lots throughout the city. And there's joy in the moment.
I like community gardens because it's an effort that people make together to transform their neighborhoods to raise the quality of life.
We're happy people here, okay? We have a mixture of all types of people, ethnic backgrounds, and we have a mixture of beautiful flowers. So in part we call ourselves the Garden of Happiness.
Get along.
We all get along
Work
here.
hard together.
Work hard together, sweat together. There's inner peace, there's joy, laughter. It's a time to get away from the rhetoric of everyday living, a time to just sit down and be amongst friends and be peaceful.
And handle the soil.
And get dirty, get dirty.
More than 1,000 gardens are now flourishing in once abandoned, now city-owned lots throughout the 5 boroughs. This one, at 90th Street and Amsterdam Avenue, began earlier this year. But how does a garden happen in an abandoned lot? It begins with an idea. Like Norberto, a teenage 12th grader from the Bronx, had this idea.
Norberto, how did you get started? How did you get this organized?
Kids, their parents, I talk to them real nice, and they'll just, they're like a person who tries to do something while they're not here, and, to entertain the kids and keep an organized place, feel beautiful.
Determined to have a garden in his Bronx neighborhood, Norberto sought and got help from Green Up, based at the Bronx Botanical Gardens, an organization which supports and supplies neighborhood gardeners. Director Terry Keller.
And since last spring, he has been trying to get a lease on a lot. Many, many problems and many steps that he took and then had to go back and try again, and he finally has a lease on a lot. He said he has 50 people in the neighborhood organized. But for a young man to be so tenacious and want this so much, we gave him every bit of help we could possibly give him.
There's no question Norberto has had to work hard to get this far. But When he succeeds, he'll probably have a garden like this, which means, again, an awful lot of hard work. Maxine, this is your plant?
Yes.
How did you grow it?
By seeding it.
You put the seed in?
Yeah.
And how come it's grown so big?
Because I take care of it and I water it every day.
Why is that so important to you?
Because I like this flower. This is the first flower I seeded.
Oh, really? And it's your personal flower. What do you call that flower?
I'll call it Enrican whatever.
Alfred, I noticed you got full-blown corn here on my left.
Full-grown and still growing. Because here's one full here, one ear. And as
How
I
come
said,
I only see one ear?
well, the rest, it was very good. They were very good. We had soup before.
This is the fruits from the garden. The tomatoes and everything. The carrots.
Who eats it?
The people from the garden, the people, everybody that comes here. Hey, you want to taste it?
An inner-city garden often becomes the place to socialize. In Puerto Rican sections, casitas, little homes are built, centers for the extended family.
It's like a tradition for us in Puerto Rico. You know, like when I grew up, you know, we grew up in a little house like that. It was a wooden house and zinc house. And to also remind us, you know, our backgrounds and stuff, you know.
And others create a little bit of home in their gardens, no matter where in the world that home was.
Most of the I use for our garden coriander for my restaurant. I just come for a restaurant like New York. I go home like New York, but I go my garden. I feeling like I'm stay in Bangladesh, you know. I love it, this garden.
This is ready to. These are ready to eat.
Fei Mak learned to garden as a political prisoner in communist China. Today, his joy is being free to work in his own garden.
This is enough for one meal for him. You can pan fry with beef, sliced beef, or cook it first and with scrambled egg. That's what they usually cook with. Ginger root. Take one out. Oh, this one. It's very, very good.
The Lower East Side suddenly disappears when you're in a garden, and you don't have to remain on the outside looking in. Gardens are available to everyone.
When I was passing by, you know, I looked at it and I told her, let's look, because it looks so beautiful.
Here's how you can get started. Contact Operation Green Thumb, the city's parent organization that has helped set up more than 1,000 gardens in empty lots throughout the 5 boroughs. Its director, Jane Weissman, is the person to see.
What happens is a group will come to us with a lot in mind. It's usually filled with garbage, it's filled with cars. If it's city-owned, what we do is process that application. And if no other agency in the city is interested in using that property, then Green Thumb gets a hold. And over the next few months, a group has the opportunity to actually develop the site. We give a group 1 year, at least to build their fence and put in their growing beds.
And you do need help. When a Lower East Side Block Association dropped their garden project because of drug addicts, Felicia Hernandez took over by herself. For 5 years, Felicia Hernandez has been unlocking the gate to the garden she's created in an abandoned lot on East 7th Street. There, she and neighbors grow tomatoes, beans, flowers, and cooking herbs on her own terms.
It's drug-free, completely drug-free, and alcohol-free, and cigarette-free.
But in the drug-infested community of Alphabet City, Doña Felicia, as she is known, supplies a lot more than vegetables to the neighborhood.
The kids come in there, people starting their garden, you know, people doing wonderful things in the community. You know, it's a community spirit that she keeps up.
She throws parties for, like, Mother's Day, you know, things. She gets everybody together.
That doesn't cut any ice with the city. Since last year, it's been after Doña Felicia for $19,000 in back rent for the abandoned lot. Originally leased to the Block Association for $1 a year, that lease expired when they gave up in the face of the drug culture. Doña Felicia took it up, even though the lease now read $500 a month rent from a woman who suffered from cancer and had to leave her job to take care of her ailing husband.
I don't think that's right. I mean, like, she takes care. She takes care of everybody around here.
She's a wonderful person. I don't know why the city is doing this to her.
They shouldn't be charging her that amount of money. I mean, that's not reasonable. They have to think about that.
Chasing the drug dealers out of the garden was tough, especially when she found they had grown marijuana behind the garden.
I saw them bringing out marijuana plants.
So what did you do?
I waited until they have the lock open, and I put a new lock.
You took a risk.
I have to.
Within a month, the community board renewed the lease, the city forgave the rent debt. Now, Doña Felicia and Green Thumb are one against the drug dealers.
When you start something and you think it's cool, you finish it.
That's one of the major reasons we started the gardens, to keep the kids from the drugs, because they help us inside with the planting. You keep them occupied all the time. So basically, they're always in there playing and running around, and we try our best just to give them this message, you know?
Well, we decided to clean this in here because the only thing we can see here was junkie. You know, our kids look out the window, and that's all they see all the time. So we decided to clean them up and keep the kids in here playing a little bit, so we don't have to keep them outside. You know, we sell old clothes to get the swings, and we have been working, you know, a little hard, but we hang in there.
Not all gardens are in ghettos. This one on the Upper West Side also took a lot of hard work. At the beginning of the year, it looked like this.
And here's what it looks like today, just a scant 2 months after people began growing things here. You've got squash, you've got tomatoes, you've got beautiful flowers. You even have corn growing in the back 40. What does it feel like? What does it do for you?
Everything, you name it, food, peace, relaxation. When I see a lot of arguments over the area around here, I said, wait a minute, I don't even have to look at this. So I come over here, I sit down, I take care of my plants, I give away flowers, vegetables at the end, and it's healthy.
This particular bed here, I put together for the daycare center on 94th Street. The kids needed a spot. I think that it's very important that, number one, city kids get a handle on what it is they get in the supermarket and how it starts. It's very educational.
First thing you do when you get here is walk around and see what's actually bloomed that day, and you know what has a bud coming up.
You got excited early because we're a tiny little flower.
Oh yeah, no, this is the first time these have bloomed today, and those I planted a month ago, and it actually worked. That's half the excitement.
This is a real gift. My garden is the size of a coffin, smallest garden here probably, and I'm grateful for it.
Why is there a bridge in the middle of this lot with a trough full of fish?
Well, we had a friend who passed away recently, and a bunch of us got together and decided to construct a bridge for him in memory of him.
What's it called?
It's called Bridge of Dreams.
Why?
Because he's a person who had many dreams, and this lot was one of them. This is our way of saying we love him, and may he rest in peace.
I'm proud of the garden because with the Lord's help, we got as far as we have right now.
If gardens mean a lot to those who work them, they also mean a lot to the communities they beautify. A Lower East Side group called Artists and Ecology held this procession appealing for more neighborhood gardens.
My name is Felicia Young, and I'm organizing this procession to save the gardens of the Lower East Side. I live on the Lower East Side, and I became concerned walking around and seeing these beautiful gardens, and I started talking to some of the people and found out the gardens were actually, some of them endangered right now of being developed, and the one that we're in actually at this moment may lose its lease. There are over 41 gardens on the Lower East Side, and some of them have been in existence for more than 15 years.
These artists, who call themselves Art and Ecology, dedicated the entire day to visiting most of the Lower East Side gardens to celebrate their beauty. And that beauty goes deeper than the roots of their plants and flowers. Gardens, through those who work them, extend into the roots of whole communities to create another kind of beauty that's called neighborliness.
At Preferred Seating, great value stands alone, like this magnificent Italian leather sofa for an amazing $499. This handsome leather chair and ottoman is an incredible $299. Look at this beautiful imported fabric sofa for only $450. At Preferred Seating, great value stands alone.
Visit Preferred Seating today at 10 great locations.